So sometimes some pain, sorry to say this, but some pain comes, maybe cancer or something. Then, so when you think, not very serious, but when you think, we recite words of Tonglen, so they different prayers of Tonglen. So in short one, Nagarjuna's whatever suffering by sentiments happen, may it be rapid from me. Whatever happiness I have, may it be rapid the sentiments. So that, yeah, you just recite this, or not very serious, but even just very shallow. So so the pain stops. Then if the eye is eye pain, eye pain, then you think this Tonglen. Even not very serious. Just remember the words of the, when the pain stops. But the stopping is not purpose of thought transformation. Lojong is not to stop. Is not to stopping. Is while you are experiencing to make that useful. To achieve the path to enlightenment, utilize in the path to enlightenment. Utilize is for all the scientific region while you are experiencing. It's not to stop. You understand? Purpose, real. You have to know real purpose of thought transformation. You understand? But I just talk that what happens if you practice it. I'm talking the benefits. But real practice is while you are experiencing. Then use that, utilize that. You to reach enlightenment and also them to reach him. You understand? That. So that. So that's not only normally occurs best practice, and especially you have sickness or you have problems, or the best so good to practice that. Take all symptoms problem. You see, on your hand experience, let me to be free. Then I want to tell you one thing. You see, when you walk in the cities, market or cities, India, Nepal especially, then you see many suffering animals, human beings, so much suffering. You see, deformed, no legs, all kinds. So you see, you can't help immediately to get the legs or them. So what you do is you pray, to not be reborn, Lord, and to not take much suffering, to not be reborn, Lord, and to be born in pure land where you can become enlightened. At least you receive perfect human body, meet mind teaching, and meet mind teaching, and meet perfect qualified guru, and achieve enlightenment. So by pleasing most, after that, pleasing most holy mind to the world's friend, and achieve enlightenment. So you pray, and then you do Tonglen. So what's going to tell you is take all the suffering, all you can do. all the suffering, what he or she is experiencing now, all the cause. Do it come up, take it on in your heart and destroy yourself, taking thought. So, while you're walking, you practice that. You see? Then the animal, who's going to be killed. You see the road around that or the buffaloes who had to plant the land, so black with the pool people use, until they had to plant what do you call the land, make it soft. Plow is used. And that is to carry a load on the horse carriage, the huge load they pull out. And the water is so hot, and then you take, as you see, and you take all that suffering, no cause, so take. You pray that, as I said before, then you take all that. Destroy your ego, subject to them. What is that? OM MANI PADME HUM. So good. Then you see, even sick people, even dying people, sick people, you say OM MANI PADME HUM, you do Tonglen. So good. Then some people will get better when you do Tonglen. You see, nothing else much you can do. You can help the right way. So, but you Tonglen practice. You see, some people, it's common, so they get better. That. So there are many stories. Yeah. Okay. I think that's. So, I finished the. When you're upset, sad, remember bodhisattva. When you have fear, I mentioned it before, remember bodhisattva. Best. You understand? Remember, when you die, you breathe using your brain. Remember bodhisattva, best. It's the best of time. You understand? Hopefully someone says, remember bodhisattva. Oh, the best of time. You have to know that. You must write down. Because we all have to die. So I think maybe a couple of months now, so I think some years ago, I think here, I don't know where. Yeah, I told them to write down the book. When you die, what you want to do. What you want to do when you die. Write down. See, what I'm saying, practice, meditation. What you want to do, write down. So you prepare, you can better. You understand? So important. We made so many other plans. Baba. I'm going to the moon, I'm going to Mount Everest. But death can happen any time. But the death can happen any time. Tonight. You don't know. You're not omniscient, know a killer voice. How do you know? So when you're going to die, how do you know? So this plan is so important. I'm going to Mount Everest, I'm going to Tibet, like 1,000 years of life plan we make. But this one, we can have any time. The most important. That plan is very important. what do you want to do? How you want to practice? So important. So I did. Then I think I don't remember. And explained their 5 power, their Mahayana practice, 5 power. They use is big, fundamental, most important practice. I said, sorry. I think the Kathmandu 5 powers. Near death time. The person bodhisattva. You must read. Get that book. Read, write down. In my I met one book I wrote one book called, what is it called? About death. How to help yourself? Huh? What?
How to enjoy death from return.
How to enjoy death. Oh, there I've explained. 5 powers near death time. That's minor practice. The fundamental practice, best practice when you to apply for death. But there are 5 powers integrated in a whole lifetime practice into 5 hours every day. Then there's the 5 hours near death time. I was planning to read that. Oh, study that. Write down in notebook, on your diary book. Yeah. Okay. So to my preparation. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, So there was tantra practice, power and all that, but 5 power. Power, you see, they get soul in and hairs fall over, soul in past coming up. But you see, if you do heat many times, there's soul in. So not necessarily power, they will walk. And if you do heat many times, this. So therefore, 5 powers, definite, the best practice of bodhicitta. You see, must write down, do that, then you're very wise. Or suddenly you're going to find, this I'm going to use, this I'm going to die, how I'm going to die, this. They're very wise. You understand? Then you're very wise. You understand? Okay. Sorry, no, I don't get expanded. That's easy. When you have suffering, then remember bodhicitta. I already talked about Tonglen. Even when there's happiness, remember bodhicitta. Because you see, when you have success, when you have when you have pleasure, when you have so much, I don't know, people praising you, you see, then your mind is totally distracted, occupied, distracted by attachment to pleasure. Then unable to practice Dharma, your life is it's negative, totally distracted by the attachment. This life is a pleasure, you see? So then life gets wasted, wasted, doesn't get meaningful. So therefore remember the best, even you have pleasure, best, was meaningful, that pleasure, remember bodhicitta. Or then, you see, for example, when you stay in a 5-star hotel or, I don't know, just an example, I'm using an example. So, you see, there's so much comfort. So he dedicated all these 4 centimeters, number of helplings, number of sangaras, number of all he dedicated for. All this comfort you dedicate for every sentiment. Okay, so that, like that, for example. Example of that. So when you pleasure also, some dedicate for sentiment, you give us. Oh, anyway, so you remember the Chitta, then you see your pleasure can be useful for all sentiments, okay? Maybe I will say this. Niju dombar chenayang, gewe chenang dunayang, tarung tele komnayang, changsum chana changminja. So this is the side of even you, all the vices, even you abstain from all the vices. Then all the virtues, collect all the virtues. And then also meditate on the chakras, wind and drops. But without bodhicitta, but you do all these things without bodhicitta, then you cannot achieve enlightenment. Oh, you have to know that. Without bodhicitta, all these things you do, you can't achieve enlightenment. For sentiments, okay? Chanju Sengi Ramdundu, Chanju Sengi Shindendu, Chanju Sengi Jigwong, Chanju Sengi Nyemboche. So, if you practice bodhicitta, then able to accomplish all the work for self. If you practice bodhicitta, then you are able to accomplish all the work for others. Yes. So the best, even accomplish work for self, is best is practice bodhicitta, exercise bodhicitta. If you bodhicitta, best. Then accomplish work for others, practice bodhicitta, best. Excellent. Then if you bodhicitta, then you see, abandon the fears. You become free from fear, dangers. So if you bodhicitta, then you see devas, nagas, all those spiritual, they're all very happy to you. You have bodhicitta. You see, only no selfish mind, only cherishing all sentiment to have happiness. See, so the nagas, those are spirits, and those are beings who normally give harm to people, or so they all have. You see, wherever you are, they're drawn harm. You see, by having good heart, by having bodhicitta. Like that. You see, so very common bodhisattvas. Jabutime Kundin, very common in the life story. On the traveling, bodhisattva, you see, water stops, river stops. Then go through, then the river joins. So it's very common. I think the same story to yes, yeah. Christianity, San Francis in Italy. So here reside God, and wearing very ragged clothes, ragged, huh? Huh?
We use animals to bind several well.
So you see, it is that of God, then wearing black dress, many patches around. It's like Tibetan meditations, Kathmandu, many like that. Very simple life, red clothes and very simple life, very humble. Like this, but great realization path. Oh, they achieved that for something. So many great holy beings like that. So San Francis, so he goes like this. Then also the disciples all wearing ragged clothes, and then also that. So then the priest who are on the upstairs, they go in the road. Then the priest that were very expensive, the rich white cloth wearing, then they all spit on him. So that you see, because looking at not them, because they go very humbly, God. He is that God, but you see, his level of mind is same as Karama cases, bodhisattva. His realization is level of mind, bodhisattva. Oh, bodhisattva. So, you see, there was water running, and the disciples who is close to Lama Center, Italy. What's it called, the place? Assisi. Assisi. So water running from the mountains. So disciples who are near the water could not meditate with the noise of water. So they asked him if they can meditate. So he went to the water and he called sister. He called even the water, sister, please don't come, stop, because my disciples can't meditate. So the water stopped. So far water didn't come. But you can see the mark where the water used to run. You can see. But so far water didn't come. From that time. So if the water didn't come, it means very bad for Italy or something. But anyway, so still water. So bodhisattvas have all like that. Where's the realization bodhisattva? And then bodhisattva has Jayamolam, the Kathmandu, his life, how many lifetimes before? Anyway, bodhisattva. So in Tibet, Tashiruma monastery, there was a water flood coming towards the monastery. So he wrote on the stone, "If it's true that I am bodhicitta, please return back." So he wrote down the stone. He turned the stone, the water went back. Water flood went back. You understand? So at the moment, the Western science would not have the idea. So it is controlled by the mind. Bodhicitta mind control the outside elements. Danger, you understand? So water went back. So anyway, what was I going to say? Chandra Singhi Jivong, so if you pursue bodhicitta, if you bodhicitta, fear get abandoned, dangers. Chandra Singhi Nibuchis, if you practice bodhicitta, and then you see it becomes a remedy to all those things. Then when you are happy, remember bodhicitta. When you are suffering, remember bodhicitta. When you are old, remember bodhicitta. Also brings happiness, makes life, no matter outside looking how much old, but the mind so, makes life so meaningful. It's how much, how many years, how many months, how many hours, day, how many hours, minutes, seconds you have life. So unbelievable, Zopa sentiment, for every sentiment. So God the chance, even you're old, remember this. Chise chance, even you're dying, remember the Chitta. What I all told. If you have bodhicitta, then good. If you have bodhicitta, then Shantu Sandang, then you're not Naya Xiang, Turjan, Gomyang, Chitta Chitan, Labota. If you have bodhicitta, then very good you'll get sick. Because you dedicate for sentiment, you utilize path to enlightenment, you see. So you take all the sentiment suffering, so it will control your life, benefit all. So good. Even you're sick, good. Even you die, good. Because unbelievable benefit. As I told you, so if you put it, if you are listening to teachings, could you listen for sentiments? Sorry, I didn't get to tell the motivation. You see, with the bodhicitta, when we listen to the teaching, the ants, tiny ants all around you. You are listening, teaching here. All of them to each enlightenment. You understand? Tiny ants all around you. Oh, when you go out, all the birds, all the insects, you understand? Oh, you are listening, teaching here. You are doing listening, teaching here for all those. For all the dogs, all those animals, insects, you see. You are doing for all of them. Not left out when you remember, when you do bodhicitta, or listening, teaching, for example, meditation, taking as my presence with bodhicitta. So it's for all of them. Tiny ants walking around, it's for them. You are benefit for them, you understand? Yeah, we're sentient beings, but when the tiny ants must go to that you never let you never. No, you never let you, no connection, right? You see, I'm taking my Edman presence for this end. I'm taking Edman presence today. You think that? That's unbelievable good. That's what you're doing. Wow, so good, so great. Everything that to recognize what you're doing. You understand? Yeah, even people you see. Yeah, so benefit to everybody. You want to go around the mountain, birds, you're benefit to everybody. You understand? You must do that. Your life benefit them. To all those insects, you understand? They must do that. Sentient beings, but you never let you do this. You understand? This sentient beings, and see, like I'm a human being. You understand that? If you bodhicitta, then even listen teaching is good, even meditation is good. Whatever you do, it's good. So I may say, if you're bodhicitta, if you're making kaka, pipi, whatever. Everything, whatever you do, you do for sentiment. Okay. Chana changju singi chang. So if you're eating, eat with bodhicitta. If you're sitting, sit with the bodhicitta. So the book read or not read?
Yes, we read a little bit yesterday.
A little bit. How much? Okay. All right. You are sitting, sit with bodhicitta. You are standing, stand with bodhicitta. If you are laying down, sleeping. If you are laying down, lay down with bodhicitta. If you are looking at Dana Changju Singita, Sana Changju Sing it's I think the one before is maybe not eating, it's maybe walking. Chana Changju Singita, do with the bodhicitta. I think this one, Dana Changju Singita, Sana Changju Singita. Mena Changju Sing, Mer, Dona Changju Sing with Da. So then if you look at it with bodhicitta. So you see, if you're eating, eat with bodhicitta. The motivation, but it's you see. Of course, during food, but the motivation. Mena Changju Sing, Mer. I think the motivation, but this is so important, even the visualization or you see, the motivation. Yeah. So anyway, if you eat with bodhicitta, if you speak with bodhicitta. If you examine with bodhicitta. So I stop here. Okay, 5 o'clock. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Okay, I stop here. So then I want to go to, maybe I've mentioned 1 or 2 things. Yeah, then the will of life, so a little bit talk of that. Okay. Because only before that I mentioned this. I must have mentioned this today. You see, so I explained it to Tonglen practice. So you see, whether sentient being asks you, a beggar or a sentient being asks you to help, to give money or to give whatever, food or whatever. See, now, so it's a most pleasure. It's incredible pleasure to give food, money, whatever, to help. You know, even ask, not ask, but most pleasure. So precious. most precious discipline, most precious, as I may describe you, from whom you receive all the past happiness from beginning to now, all the future, including enlightenment, all the realizations, ultimate happiness, liberation, and the enlightenment come from this. You receive from this. So precious. Even Buddha Dhamma Sangha, they always take refuge in, to be from Lord, to be from Samsara, to be from Lord Nepal, Buddha Dhamma Sangha came from this passion, this sentiment, this so precious, so precious. So as I said, most kind, most dear, most precious, wishful thing, you see. So now, you see, so to help, to be able to give something, able to share, able to give something, so most precious, most happy to give. So numberless Buddha Dhamma Sangha came from this. So Buddha, now here, Buddha beard, as a Buddha collected merit, wisdom, merit, virtue, three kinds crayons for this. So, for sentiments, you see, three kinds crayons, Buddha collected 2,000 merits. They see, met holy body, charity, three kinds crayons to sentiments. And practice morality with much heart for sentiments. So practice patience, practice perseverance for sentiments, three kinds. Then meditation, concentration, wisdom. So you see, so this person, you see, Buddha, even Buddha himself, for three countless crayons, charity, his body, which body must cherish, Then, morality, with much heart, three countless, and patience, for three countless crayons, perseverance, so much heart. Then meditation, the wisdom. About this sentiment. You see? So therefore, me to give one rupee. Food, clothing, water. So that is so precious. It is the most happy thing to do. That's the help. Most happy thing to do. Most happy thing to do, to give to it. Even you can't do like Buddha did, but even it's so precious to give something. Humble and precious. So I say, so they say, humble and precious to give something to help. Then she Buddha said, you see, I say, Shuman Tata Pudang, Jordan, Yazichimbadang, Shannon Tana, Tadam, Chetan, Midan, Linam Yang, Kangla Zebi, Kangla Zebi, Undu Jene, Ngai, Yonsa Dang, Ngai, Yongdangwa, Tena, Tela, Nova Chena, Nal Nova Chavajo, Tena, Hansen, Tena, Simjen Pembache, Nala Chaba, Nala Chepe, Chop. Simjen Nova China, Nala Shindu, Nova Chop. Oh, so, what is it? Yeah, please listen here. Extremely, so Buddha talking about his own experience. Extremely beautiful wife, and the heart into the poor. You from the heart, from your heart, from your heart, most dear, your son. Then beautiful wealth, great king's reign, and you are is one's own flesh and blood, fat, not fat, fat. Eyes, bodies, whom the bring into the control of compassion to that sentient being. Then destroy qualified component I dedicated to others. So means all these things. Yeah, what I mentioned to all the parts of the body. Then it's even the most beautiful wife, then most heartfelt, feeling the most dear son, beautiful wealth and all those things. So you offer to send them. Therefore, offer to send them. You see? So this sentence being, if you harm to that sentence being, then there is harm to me, Buddha said. Shakyamuni Buddha said. So the same thing, if the God created the world, so you harm people, then you harm to God. You have to know that. You have to harm to God. So, you see? So, yeah. So if you think that, then the brain fits. Yeah. Therefore, you are harming to the sentient, you are harming to the person, the sentient being, then I qualified gone beyond one, then day, Bhagavan, I, then it is harming to this person, and harm to me, Buddha said. Therefore, if you benefited through this sentient being, it's one particular one. If you benefit to this sentient being, it is the best offering to me, Buddha said. You have to know that. To any sentient being, so you gave harm, this is the most harm to me, Buddha said. You give any sentient being, you give harm, you understand? Rude words, hurtful words. You give any harm to the sentient being. Well, that is Shindu Nobi Chok. That's the worst harm to me. The Buddha said, you understand? So even you give a glass of water, or even you candy, to the beggar or something, something is the best offering to Buddhas. To not one Buddha, numberless Buddhas. Numberless Buddhas is best offering. You understand? You have to know that. Even you give candy or what, even some help, You can offer, you want whatever you can help. You see, carrying the heavy luggage, whatever help you can do. Best offering, most pleasing, best offering to number of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, holy beings. You understand? So the focus is sentient being, not Buddha. Sentient beings, take care, cherish. You help whatever you can. Even recite OM MANI PADME HUM, dedicate marriage, as I said before. That's. You understand? That was please the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas.